Welcome to week 3 of Authority Agent Academy content creation, and this is exciting. We're about to get started creating content after actually talking about it for 2 weeks. So before we get drill in, I just want to quickly show you 2 quotes from some pretty famous marketers. And quote number 1 is this from Seth Godin. Now if you don't know who he is, Google him. He's super famous. Had a lot of involvement in Yahoo in the early days. And I like what Seth says here, content marketing is the only marketing left. Now hopefully by now you're starting to realize that there's probably some truth to this after reading Utility for Real Estate and looking at keyword research and understanding why we're going to do that, but just think about it, it's the only marketing left. And the second one is from my old friend Gary Vaynerchuk, and really this drills down onto why. And what he's saying is, whether you like it or not, every person is now a media company. The tools are easy, free, and they're everywhere. And more importantly, producing content is now the baseline for brands and companies. It doesn't matter what kind of industry you operate in. If you're not producing content, you basically don't exist. So what's your excuse? And I totally agree with Gary. I think he's one of the leaders in this space. If you've never heard of him before, go and do a Google search for him. Amazing guy, does some amazing stuff, has one of the biggest social media agencies in the world. So I think he probably knows a little bit about what he's talking about. So anyway, moving on. I also love what Tom Panos says about marketing. And he says that marketing is about getting noticed. Sales is about closing. You won't be sitting at a table closing a listing unless you get noticed first. And that's really a key element here, because I probably can't make you a better salesperson, but by God, I can sure make you a better marketer. And if you get noticed more often, you're going to get called into more listings. And even if you stay at the same level of sales skills you've got now, you will close more deals. So this is why marketing is so important. It's, if there's X number of people in your market that are looking to buy or sell a house, and you're currently getting in front of 1% of them, and we triple or double or quadruple that, or whatever the case may be, your numbers are just going to go up as a consequence of it. So everything you do in the Authority Agent Academy is about getting noticed. So they will call you in to see if you can sell their house, or they will call you in to discuss buying a house. Now back in the old days, agents were the conduit between buyers and the homes, and without the agent, the public couldn't find the homes. There was no real, well, the internet existed, but practically nobody used it back then, and nor could they easily find data on comparable home sales in the area, etc. So everything, the buying and the selling, relied on the agent. Now you might remember this is the way they did it back in the past. I bought a house under these circumstances, and this is what you do nowadays. It's all about the online world. It's the realestate.com.au's, the domain.com.au's. If you're from the States, it's the Trulia.com or the rent.com or whatever. There's just so many things there. We're in the 21st century now. The internet has changed it. Whether you like it or not, in some respects, you as the real estate agent are much less essential to the entire process, because buyers can go online 24/7 and look at almost every home for sale in Australia on portal sites like REA, for example. They can find comparable sales data manually from multiple sites, or if they pay a small fee to someone like CoreLogic/RP Data, they can get all the info they want. Now they don't engage with you until they actually want to look at the house in person, and it's a house that's been shortlisted by them, not like the old days when I had to go looking for a house. You had to look up the listing in the newspaper. You had to ring the agent. Oops, jumping backwards and forwards there. You had to ring the agent. You had to go to the home open, and you had to visit everything that was in your range, price and or location. I went through this back in 2001, and that was a nightmare back then. I remember for several months we spent all of our weekends driving around town attending home opens. It was painful and slow, and it was almost guaranteed to put you off ever buying a house, let alone doing it again. Oftentimes you'd walk into a house and turn around and walk out straight away again 30 seconds later, because you knew in an instant it wasn't what you wanted. Talk about wasting a lot of time and petrol money. Eventually we found one we liked. We put in an offer. Naturally it was rejected. We counter offered, and eventually we did the deal. And the real estate agent controlled everything about that process back then. But nowadays, you're missing from most of the process. And as Tom Panos says, you won't be sitting at a table closing unless you get noticed. So the whole reason for creating content is to get noticed. And hopefully it should be obvious by now that a large part of getting noticed is via the internet, which is where you're going to be publishing your content. And before we move on, let's just look quickly at this last one. You Australian agents are probably familiar with some of these sites now. They're springing up. These are lead generation sites that run ads on Facebook and Google, generate leads for people looking for a real estate agent, and they on-sell those leads to you. This is a growing segment of the market as well. So, just the portal sites by themselves are not the only option, but these kind of sites are becoming more and more common as people see them work, as people see them advertising online. So, let's dig into week 3 content creation.